Abraham Lincoln was 16th President of the United States. He based his mandate on the abolition of slavery and equal rights. On November 19 of 1863, he gives the Gettysburg speech in a few months after the battle that took place in that same site during the Civil War. It is a speech that highlights a sincere and a precise message about human equality and democratic rights in the famous phrase, government of the people, by the people, and for the people. This inspired democracy in many countries, remaining for world history.
The feeling of nationalism or patriotism expressed in Lincoln's famous speech is a great contrast to what we see today in Venezuela. In terms of independence and caudillismo, such a feeling of pride could be seen in the Venezuelan people. However, today such feeling has been declining over the years, keeping only a few who still defend the nation we should care, since the leaders and political personalities are entering a field of battles for power, sacrificing a people who live for a battle for power.
However, who can blame Venezuelans? The answer is easy. No one. After so many years of fighting and watching for the betterment of our country, seeing how the government plays with the people's life without feeling any remorse, losing hope and giving up is a totally logical and coherent answer. Only someone who has been in our shoes can really talk about our situation and know what it feels like. Now, comparing Venezuela with the United States, this last one has maintained with pride and motivation the defense of his land and interests, putting as a priority the welfare and prosperity of his own, something that honestly our country misses today.
However, Venezuela just shown that, despite energetic event dash, just occurred that, being a strong and dignified country, after what I consider dark days between bright sincerity today and democracy. Strongly questioned by I, will still face till Venezuelan people being still. Every time, veo call tabeus vengo, autish a society, wish right to vote.
On the other hand, if we compare this speech with what has happened throughout history in Venezuela, we could say that Venezuela has not been able to achieve great fundamental changes in different aspects such as evolutions, freedom and dedication that a president should have for his country. The fruit of the past, both good and bad, has been lost towards us what Venezuela is now. However, this has been a collective problem to do the bad decisions that have been made in recent years.
In a few words, the Gettysburg speech don't represent the most outstanding things that has happening and is happening in Venezuela. Demonstrations have been held for the only purpose of seeking democracy and a better quality of life in the country. As Lincoln said in his speech, many people sacrifice their dreams, hopes, and life to bring a new change to the country. But those people consecrate the place where they died, and their actions will never be forgotten by the Venezuelan people.
Lincoln expresses that we cannot leave behind and overlook all the acts of bravery of thousands of men, and that is exactly what we Venezuelans cannot do. We must take as an example the heroic acts of all the young people who gave their lives for the country and demonstrate that their deaths were not in vain, and that someday we will have the Venezuelan we all dream of. In Venezuela, many have demonstrated their devotion to achieve a totally democratic nation without monopolistic governmental systems.
We want Khalid people at the faith and unity is the same. Insecurity is advanced in the country, yet not people hand the spirit brought to war. Afraid, unfortunately, we have enough yet me scientifically frozen it around, force for discrimination is not the defeat of the above, and the first duties under sorrow to continue lighting for the light. In the country, should not like to carry it to display where with Abram, who will.
We cannot just see and wait for other people to help us. It is time to stop looking for what represents of least struggle and deliver their fellow species and go to others to build our future. We shall take Lincoln where and the regression of the United States are example to follow, even to bold situations are not the same because it's time to change to story. We need to give the next generation and the opportunity to live in country they can be for, and especially to teach them not make it the same mistake, not to always pitch for they believing it's right.
We can't forget that President Abraham Lincoln highlighted the importance of how the ancestors were the seed of what the country was at that time. Therefore, the people has to reach a social responsibility as a fundamental road toward on the evolution of the state. That is, to add more achievement to those that had been already achieved.